All right, you guys, I'm going to show you guys how to make your first unit of 3. I just made these squares. They're not squares, they're rectangles, but it's fine. So you should have 3, and basically at the end, what is going to happen is we are going to attach them just like this, and that is going to be your first unit of 3. So we have side, side, bottom. Okay, now we're not just going to attach them like that. We've got to do what is called a tapered cut or a bevel cut. And so what you're going to do is basically, if you take a look at this slab, we have this whole side right here. We're going to just take off this top corner right here. So if I look at it from the side, I'm going to be taking my knife and cutting it at an angle like this, so that way I'm only taking off that little corner. Now it's really important that you don't take off any of the clay that's on this side, otherwise you're going to end up changing the shape of your form, which is definitely not what we want to do. So easiest way to do this is have it on some kind of board or surface. I only have a Lazy Susan here, so I'll just show you guys from that perspective. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it all the way over to the edge here. Actually, it'd be better if I had something square. Idea. I got it. Aha. Something square. Okay, so I've got something square. I'm going to pull it just right here to the edge. Okay, so it's sitting right there on its edge. I'm going to take my fettling knife. This is not a fettling knife. I don't have one at home. I'm going to take a fettling knife, and you are going to hold this at an angle, not straight up, not straight to the side, but slightly at an angle. I'll let you guys see it from this perspective. I'm going to hold it at an angle like this. So that way I'm not taking off any of the bottom. I'm only going to be taking off this top little thing right here. Okay. I'm going to raise this up a little bit so you can see that a little bit better. Here we go. Yeah. So I'm going to hold it at an angle. I'm going to have my finger right here. So again, I'm not straight, I'm not flat. I am here at, I'm going to be coming in here at an angle, just like this. And I'm going to have my thumb over here supporting the other side. And I'm just going to cut nice 45-degree angle. Okay, so if I take a look at this piece, it's just a little triangle. It's just that top corner. So now if you take a look at this, I have an angled bevel cut. Okay, so I'm going to do that to all of the sides here really quick, because all of these sides are going to be attached to each other. It's always better to take off a little bit at a time, and I'll show you the reason why you don't want too hard of an angle when you're cutting these, because if you angle it too much and you end up taking off more than 45 degrees, then when you attach them to each other, then they're not going to fit very well. So here's the last side here. Just bring it to the edge, give it that angle, and cut. Okay, and I'm saving all of my scraps. I'm going to use those for later. But now I have a piece of clay that has all 4 sides that are beveled. I'm going to do that with these ones as well. Might as well cut off that little chunk that got messed up. Gone. Great. Here's my second piece that is beveled and done. And here's my last piece. bring that right up there to the edge. And last one. All right, so just like with a picture frame, we want these quarters to be nice and 90 degrees. So here's another visual example of what this is going to end up looking like. So if we see that this is the side of my clay and there's my beveled edge and I have this other beveled edge, when we go through and we connect them, it makes this nice sharp point. Now this is bigger than a 45-degree angle. That would be a 45-degree angle. So if you end up taking off too much clay, you're going to end up with a huge gap like that. In comparison to if you don't take enough clay off, then you're going to end up with a gap over here on the corner. So we want to make sure that our sides are as close to 45 degrees as possible, so that way when we put them together just like that, bam, I've got a nice 90-degree angle without any gaps on the inside or on the outside. This is pretty good, okay? So from there, when I go through and actually attach this, what's gonna happen, you guys are gonna wanna slip and score these together, but it's always better to have one on the bottom and one on the side, and then one on the other side. So this is basically, and this is why it's so important to have a square piece. I'll show you guys on this perspective. You see how there's this overhang right here? So I've actually got rectangles, not squares here. But so this also works. You're gonna go ahead and slip and score those two pieces together, and from there you're going to take a wood modeling tool. I'm just going to use this as my wood modeling tool. You're going to come right here. You're going to use that flat edge, or if you use a straight wood modeling tool with like a nice straight edge like that, you can go through and just really smooth that corner right there and compress that clay. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just going to support it, and I'm going to compress that guy right there, so that way when I look at the corner, that corner is nice and clean, it's nice and sharp. All right, I'm going to do the same thing kind of in here. I'm going to grab my wood modeling tool, and I'm going to just clean up this seam a little bit, make a little indent, and now I get to use all of my little scraps as reinforcement coils. So I'm going to just use the same clay that I just cut off. I'm going to go ahead and score and score and slip. And this is going to be my first reinforcement coil. So anytime there's an attachment that's being made, you need to make sure that you are putting in a reinforcement coil, so that way we make sure that those seams stay nice and strong. So you're going to take your wood modeling tool and you'll just take half that coil and pull it down into the slab here. Let me see if I can get a little closer. There we go. Maybe. Yep, there we go. So you're going to take half the coil and spread it down onto this slab, and then you'll take the other half of the coil and spread it onto, I'm trying to get a good angle here. So I'm taking the other half of the coil and I am smoothing it into the other guy. And then I can take my straight edge and just really make sure I am cleaning up that seam super, super good. I'm going to support it on the outside here. And again, you guys that have like proper wood modeling tools there, so I would probably use those. I'm going to take my finger and smooth that out because it is not doing too hot. Wood modeling tool is not working. Again, I'm just gonna use my fingernail because I know my fingernail is gonna work just fine. And you want to make sure that seam is nice and clean and smooth, and that clay is like all the way up in there. Just gonna go through and redefine that corner right there. Okay, so there is that. here's that attachment. This could be a lot cleaner if I had proper tools, but I'm just gonna use my finger right here. We want to make sure that all of this clay is like smoothed in. Because we are going to be able to see the inside of the box, so we want to make sure that it looks nice and seamless. Okay. You can always go over that with a sponge. Bam. Nice and clean. Nice and clean, nice seam. All right. I didn't even slip and score this, and that's pretty rock solid. It's not falling off, right? You have to make sure that you slip and score this really, really good though. Okay. Okay. And then I'll just attach this part. Again, you do want to be slipping and scoring this really, really good. I'm going to come in and compress the base here. I'm going to come in and compress those two corners. Use my wood modeling tool again and just make sure that that corner is really nice and crisp. Nice and crisp corner. And nice and crisp corner. Okay, so now I've got my nice crisp corners right there. We'll work on refining a little bit later. But now I have these two sections right here that I need to add my reinforcement coils in. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my nice skinny coil. It doesn't need to be too skinny. Okay, I'll start there. Again, you want to be slipping and scoring these coils into the seams to really make sure that it doesn't come apart and that those connections are rock solid. Again, I'm going to come in here and take half that coil and smush that into my bottom slab, and then take the other half of the coil and smush it to the slab on the side there. And I'm supporting it on the bag because I am applying quite a bit of pressure because this clay is a little bit hard. You definitely want to be using the clay that you cut off because it's going to be the same consistency as your slabs. So there's going to be less cracking with this attachment because those two pieces of clay are going to be the same consistency. So they'll shrink at the same rate as they dry. I'll just take my fingernail and clean up that seam right there. Clean up that seam right there. Again, please use wood modeling tools. I don't have any at home with me right now, so I'm just trying to use what I've got. I'm gonna get in that corner, really clean up that corner. Clean up these edges right here. And there's one side. Okay, so this is one unit, all right? And this is all you have to do. So after we make our second unit, then we're gonna put them together. And then we'll cut our lid and then add our reinforcement coils all on the inside there, okay? So this is the only step that you guys have to do. This is how you guys make one solid unit, and just make sure that you have your 45-degree angle bevel cuts, okay? That's how you get those nice sharp corners there on the sides, all right? Just make sure you wrap this up super, super good in some damp paper towel and some plastic.